Now, I've already been hearing a little bit more from Morningstar's Monica Calais about the way that Morningstar rates funds and analyses the performance of fund managers. Here to dive a little bit deeper into one of our research pillars for funds is Dan Haydon from the manager research team. Dan joins me now. Dan, thanks so much for your time. Which process are we talking about here?
So today we're going to have a bit of a dive into the process pillar and one facet in particular, which is what is sometimes called edge. So it's a somewhat nebulous term, sometimes overused, but it's a key component of what we consider the process pillar.
Cool. And so edge is a word that I suppose could be interpreted by some as being a little bit of a marketing strapline. Can we unpack what it actually means? What are you looking for when it comes to edge from a fund house or a fund team?
So one might want to equate it in some senses to an economic moat for a company. But in essence, what we'd like to see in a process is an element of edge. So by definition, this sets it apart from its peers and its competitor funds and should lead to an enduring advantage and potential for alpha generation over the medium to long term.
Sure. And can you just give me some examples, maybe, from your extensive knowledge of this space? What funds are displaying edge at the moment?
So if we take a step back, so first, if we think about the different components of edge as it pertains to the process pillar, then you can think about this in terms of behavioral edge, and then also in terms of informational edge, so all those inputs which are coming in, also in terms of analytical edge, and then there are some others which are a bit less prevalent, but might include trading edge and some other areas. So within my coverage, there are two funds which I think are worth bringing up within this discussion here. So one of them is Alistair Hibbert at BlackRock, so that's BlackRock Global Unconstrained Equity. And then there's also the Evenlode Income Fund, which is a UK quality income growth style strategy, which was brought onto coverage just a few months back. So what sets these apart, you might ask? On the one hand, if we laser in on the behavioral elements here, so it's at BlackRock, one area which they excel at is, in addition to having the usual very well-defined philosophy and a well-defined process, sure, is on the behavioral side. So every time they make a trade, they will tag it. And then this permits the creation of a long history and permits them just to analyze each of their trades. And so there's a longer term advantage.
Paper trail, basically.
In a sense, yes. But this is a step beyond that. Elsewhere, then that team, they incentivize analysts elsewhere at BlackRock to contribute to ideas, and so they fully leverage the vast resources at BlackRock. So that's another interesting facet. It's an extreme quality style process and philosophy that they follow there.
And on Evenlode, I know you're a fan of Evenlode. What makes Evenlode special?
So, like a BlackRock, the Global Unconstrained, then at Evenlode, they also have an explicit desire to counter some of these behavioural biases, which can be the undoing of a fund over the long term. Sure. There are many different elements here. One which is perhaps worth highlighting is the way that they set maximum position sizes ahead of time. So this is done twice annually at least. And this, combined with what they call the risk scores, essentially means that they, over the very long term, so when they construct a portfolio, essentially, then they're not being conviction-led. So what we've seen at some fund management houses is that position sizes can drift up, whereas here they stay dispassionate over the long term. Elsewhere, they have rotating coverage, which we quite like. It helps them stop falling in love, as they say, just with a particular stock.
Infatuation.
Yes. Yeah, among many other aspects too. So at the maximum position sizing meeting, then there's a bull and bear case which is presented, which is another good step just to make sure that, that some of those behavioural biases are being kept in check.
Brilliant. Dan, thanks so much. For more on manager research at Morningstar and indeed our methodology for analysing fund and fund managers, check out any of our editorial websites across the globe. Until next time, my thanks to Dan. I've been Ollie Smith for Morningstar.